Hi, you are here with Ms. Alston. Hey, I don't feel like showing my face, so I am just going to break down one way you can synthesize your information with my hand. All right, so you have document A, B, C, D, E, and F, okay? So the first thing I would do when I have to use multiple sources to develop an essay is I choose my top 3 examples that I want to be able to cite or reference in my essay, okay? Whether I want to paraphrase them or whether I want to directly quote them. All right. Usually I will have examples that I want to paraphrase already paraphrased, and then I will directly quote the examples that I think are really rich and powerful, and I don't want to take away the word choice that was within that example. Okay? So I'll have my top 3 examples for each text. Next, I am going to provide a summary for each text. So now that I've chosen my top 3 examples, I want to say, well, what was the central argument, or what did each text deal with or focus on, okay? Now, here's what's key, okay? For each text, you want to choose 3 to 5 themes or concepts that emerge, okay? So maybe the first text you're saying to yourself, okay, I feel like this first text deals with freedom, but also it is touching on feeling oppressed. And I think, it's this idea of oppression is kind of rooted in economics. So it's also dealing with like poverty and wealth. So here are the dichotomies that I see within this text, okay? Maybe the next text you're saying, okay, this text also focuses on oppression. So this text focuses on oppression too, but this text goes the extra step of talking about like the internal conflict that the person is facing because they are an immigrant, and this feeling of self-hatred and shame, okay? Maybe the next text you say to yourself, hey, this text, once again dealing with immigration, comes back to poverty. Similar to this text, comes back to shame. Okay, I see that in this text as well. But in this text, maybe you feel like the person is finding or seeking enlightenment and trying to be optimistic. And maybe also they are focusing on their relationships with their family, okay? You might see familial relationships present in the other texts as well. So the biggest thing is going to be just noting the concepts that you're seeing throughout each text, and then we want to go the next step, okay? So personally, I would color code the concepts. So each time poverty is discussed in each text, each time familial relationships are discussed, I would just color code it. Because now we're going to come down here, okay? So the last step is I created this acronym called SEEP, which just stands for social, economic, emotional, environmental, psychological, and physical, okay? So let's say you're looking at the reasons why a person might have immigrated, or the implications of people immigrating, which is just looking at the causes and both the consequences related to immigration, okay? So the reason we want to say to ourselves, well, how is each text talking about this concept, okay? So let's say text A is talking about freedom, but it's focused on how freedom is related to our social interactions, okay? And how our social interactions impact us emotionally, okay? So here we are talking about these concepts, but we're talking about how they impact us socially and emotionally. Next, let's say you're looking at this text, okay? This text is talking about oppression as well, but it's talking about how we are oppressed. It's focusing on on economics and how one can be oppressed as far as financially and how one can be disenfranchised. And then it might also relate to one's environment where they come from as well. Okay? So this is just getting you to break down those concepts further, because when you write, you don't want to be vague and ambiguous and just say, oh, it's about freedom, it's about oppression. You want to be able to say, what is the author saying about this concept? How does poverty impact us socially, economically, emotionally, environmentally, psychologically, or physically? Okay? How does our family shape who we are socially, economic, when it comes to our economics, when it comes to our emotions, when it comes to our environment, psychological, physical, what have you, okay? So, implications. This is just one way to dig a little bit deeper as far as your writing and to expound on your points, okay, is by using this acronym. So, we have our text, our examples, our summary, and then we also are then breaking down what each text, because this is going to help with our thesis. This is going to help when it's time for that thesis statement. Whee! Okay? So, if you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to ask me. All right. Make this my hands small.